So we continue with um, sociological factors in crime causation. So social groups and their influence to criminality and delinquency. Okay. One factor is family. In human society, a family, from the Latin word familia, is a group of people related either by consanguinity, ibig sabihin by birth, or by blood, or by affinity, by marriage or other relationship. For example, meron kang kapatid. Yung kapatid mo, relative mo siya by consanguinity kasi parehas kayo ng magulang. Sabihin natin ikaw ay nag-asawa. Tapos, yung asawa mo may kapatid siya. So, sabihin natin may kapatid siyang babae. So, yun ay magiging sister-in-law mo. And you are her relative by affinity. Hindi kayo related by blood. Pero naging magkamag-anak na lang kayo dahil sa nagkaroon ng marriage between the families. Okay. The purpose of families is to maintain the well-being of its members and of society. Ideally, families would offer predictability, structure, and safety as members mature and participate in the community. So, broken families and crime. Let me just get this clear. Hindi porket broken family ang pamilya mo, ibig sabihin, magiging kriminal ka. No. Okay. So, the scholarly evidence suggests that at the heart of the explosion of crime in America is the loss of the capacity of fathers and mothers to be responsible in caring for the children they bring into this world. This loss of love and guidance at the intimate levels of marriage and family has broad social consequences for children and for the wider community. The empirical evidence shows that too many young men and women from broken families tend to have a much weaker sense of connection with their neighborhood and are prone to exploit its members to satisfy their unmet needs or desires. Kasi 'di ba, primarily a child or a person would seek love and guidance from their parents. And when these feelings aren't met, kapag hindi ito na-satisfy ng magulang, kapag hindi ito naibigay ng magulang, yung bata, hahanapin niya ngayon sa iba. Kaso, uh, ano to? Pag hinanap niya ito sa iba, hindi sa lahat ng pagkakataon mabuting paraan eh. Ang term nga dito, they uh, exploit yung members ng society or ng community nila para makuha yung unmet needs nila, love and guidance. This contributes to a loss of a sense of community and to the disintegration of neighborhoods kasi nasisira. Yun yung sense of community because of that factor. Uh, Disintegration of neighborhoods into social chaos and violent crime. If policymakers are to deal with the root causes of crime, they must deal with the rapid rise of illegitimacy. Kasi kung usually kapag nagiging illegitimate child, hindi niya nakukuha ang uh, yun nga, love and support from both parents. Usually in illegitimacy, ang nag-aalaga lang doon sa bata ay isang magulang. Usually. Okay. So consider the following findings. Over the past 50 years, the rise in violent crime parallels the rise in families abandoned by fathers. High crime neighborhoods are characterized by high concentration of families abandoned by fathers. State-by-state analysis by scholars from the Heritage Foundation indicates that a 10% increase in the percentage of children living in single-parent homes lead typically to a 17% increase in juvenile crime. But then again, hindi naman porket kompleto ang pamilya mo ay hindi ka na magiging kriminal. Kumbaga, meron ka ng zero chance na maging criminal or na maging delinquent. Hindi rin ganun. Okay? So the rate of violent teenage crime corresponds with the number of families abandoned by fathers. The type of aggression and hostility demonstrated by a future criminal often is foreshadowed in unusual aggressiveness as early as age 5 or 6. Bully na siya, 5 pa lang siya. Okay? The future criminal tends to be an individual rejected by other children as early as the first grade who goes on to form his own group of friends, often the future delinquent gang. Ayun, gumagawa, dahil ni-reject siya ng ibang bata, gumagawa siya ng sarili niyang barkada. And, ayun na nga, yung mga nagiging barkada niya, yung mga future delinquents. On the other hand, neighborhoods with a high degree of religious practice are not high crime neighborhoods. Even in high crime inner city neighborhoods, well over 90% of children from safe, stable homes do not become delinquents. By contrast, only 10% of children from unsafe, unstable homes in these neighborhoods avoid crime. Criminals capable of sustaining marriage gradually move away from a life of crime after they get married. The mother's strong affectionate attachment to her child is the child's best buffer against a life of crime. So kung ang nanay ay affectionate nga, kumbaga ipararamdam niya ng tama ang pagmamahal niya doon sa bata, then the child is less likely to become a criminal. Strong parental bonds will significantly decrease the chance that the child will commit an act of violence. Okay, size of family. Pag mas malaki ang pamilya, of course, hindi nadi-divide din yung attention among the siblings, di ba? So, less attention kapag mas malaki ang pamilya. Also, younger siblings model their behavior on that of older siblings, the contagion effect. Ang bata, kinokopya niya kung sino yung mas matanda. Kaya kapag ang matanda gumagawa ng hindi tama, nakokopya din yun ng bata. Okay? Interactions with the family. Correlation between crime and poor interaction within the family. Parental conflict, poor use of language and communication, nagmumurahan sila, verbally abused sila, hindi sila nag-uusap, yan. Mistrust of other family members. Patterson observed interactions between antisocial children and other family members. Amongst 14 factors that contributed to coercive exchanges was nattering, which is a constant scolding of the children with no particular focus or specific threats for non-compliance. Kumbaga, ngayon, ang tawag natin dyan, nagging. Disruption of family home. John Bowlby maintained that it was coming from a broken home that led to delinquency. However, Rutter said it was the amount of the amount of discord and distress rather than the broken home. Loss of a parent through death does not necessarily lead to delinquency. Hindi naman lahat ng uh, meron ng magulang na patay na nagiging delinquent. Okay? Child rearing child rearing practices. Hoffman found that a power assertion style of child rearing was associated strongly with delinquency. Power assertion involves physical punishment and criticism with little rewarding or praise. Kapag hindi pinupuri ang bata, kapag sinasaktan sila. May mga ganun na pagpaparaan ng pagpapalaki. And then other strategies involve love withdrawal and induction, explaining and reasoning with the child. So physical punishment encourages the child to consider aggression as acceptable as an authority figure uses it. Kumbaga, kapag ikaw ay hindi lang kasi pinapalo eh. Well, eto ha, it's normal na ang magulang pinapalo ang anak kapag nagkakamali. Pero iba kapag ang magulang binubugbog ang anak. Isipin nyo na lang, di ba? Baby. Humawak ng tae, kinain niya. Anong gagawin ng magulang? Papalakpakan niya? Galing-galing mo naman, anak. Nakakain ka na ng tae. Hindi, di ba? Siyempre, pagsasabihan mo siya, paluin mo yung kamay. Hindi naman kailangan na yung... Hindi naman ibig sabihin na yung palo malakas. Kumbaga, yung palo is a touch para lang mabigyang awareness ang bata na hindi tama yung ginagawa niya. Okay? Iba ang palo sa bugbog, ha? Ang tinutukoy ko lang, palo na normal na palo. Okay? And nasa Bible din yun, na ang bata dapat talaga pinapalo kapag nagkakamali para matuto siya na hindi na niya ulitin. Ayun. Okay. So, kapag ang bata ay binubugbog, ang mapupunta sa isip niya ay, okay lang pala na manakit. Kasi yung tatay ko nga, binubugbog ako eh. Kasi tatay niya, kinikilala niya as authority. Eh, yung tatay niya yung bumubugbog sa kanya. So, para sa kanya, pwede yun. Okay, kaya in the future, pwedeng maging aggressive din siya or violent. Inconsistent punishment has a profound effect on criminal behavior. Cooper Smith found that inconsistent punishment was linked to very low self-esteem and delinquent behavior. Lack of parental supervision is associated with inconsistent punishment. Harsh punishment is effective in the short term, but in the long run can lead to violent delinquency. Lober and Deschamps consider the following factors to be associated with male criminal behavior: family size, quality of parental supervision, parental alcoholism, and employment history. Okay, dito naman sa school and peers. No academic achievement is associated with criminal behavior. Hindi daw ganun kahusay sa school. Failure at school may be because of low intelligence, but also could be due to undiagnosed learning difficulties such as dyslexia. Meron akong naging estudyante noon. Um, well, I'm not a doctor, pero I really think na dyslexic siya. Kasi kahit anong turo sa kanya, hindi niya talaga ma-spell ng tama yung mga words na madadali naman. Well, dyslexia is the inability to, uh, ano to? To write correct spelling of words. Hindi naman yung mahihirap na words kasi kahit naman ako minsan, nagkakamali din ako sa spelling for difficult words eh. Pero yung mga usual na words naman, wrong spelling pa sila. Katulad ng estudyante ko, di ba? True or false. Ang spelling niya sa false, Falls. As in, waterfalls. Ganun. Eh, ano na yun eh. Second year college na ata siya nun. Kaya sabi ko, feeling ko talaga may learning disability siya. Kasi nga, gano'n. Diba? College na siya, hindi niya pa alam yung spelling ng false. But again, yun nga, tingin ko may problem sa kanya. Anyway, ay na nga, hindi naman porket mababa ang mga grades niya ng isang tao, ng isang bata, or hindi talaga siya kahusayan sa school, ay bobo na siya. Yung iba talaga may learning difficulty lang. Okay, the failing or failed child then joins an anti-school subculture of truancy and delinquency. Ngayon, itong mga puro mabababa ang grades sila, nagsama-sama. At nagkaroon na nga sila ng tinatawag na subculture kasi imagine, ito yung normal. This is the culture. Kapag umalis sila dun sa normal, nagkakaroon ng subculture. Ito yung mga magtutropang sila lang nagkakaintindihan. Okay. The child will seek approval that is lacking from school. He would seek approval from his peers, dun sa friends niya na yun, sa subculture na yun. The child might be good at lighting fires and get approval from his peers. This boosts his self-esteem. Galing mo naman manunog. And leads to more fire-lighting behavior dahil na-encourage siya. Kumbaga, nabuboost yung kanyang self-esteem eh. Kaya pinagpapatuloy niya yung mga hindi tamang bagay. It would be a mistake, however, to assume that peer pressure alone can explain all juvenile crime. Hindi. Some offenses are committed alone, and when Agnew asked 1,400 adolescents what led them to engage in specific offenses, he found that pressure from peers was only one factor. The others being a rational choice to obtain money or kicks, or a result of anger or provocation. Schools with high staff turnover, low staff commitment, streaming, and social disadvantage tend to have the highest. Kapag ang school ay madaming nagre-resign, mabilis ang resignation, kumbaga hindi man tumatagal ng ilang taon, mga buwan pa lang, o kaya isang taon pa lang, nagre-resign na. Yun, factor din yun. Okay, another factor is economic. So there is a link between unemployment, poverty, and crime. The most persistent offenders had not had a stable employment record, changing jobs often. An analysis of data from 42 police forces in the UK demonstrates an association between crime and male unemployment. The amount of easily stolen and resellable property and high wage disparities. Note that it would not be true to say that only poor people commit crimes. Mali. Kasi madami naman ding may kaya, pero gumagawa pa rin ng krimen. It may not be just lack of money. Unemployment brings loss of status, loss of self-esteem, boredom, and alienation. Kapag wala kang trabaho, kumbaga may iba't ibang feelings ka na nararamdaman, yung mga ganitong negative feelings. Sociologists draw attention to the importance of economic inequality rather than poverty as an important influence on much social behavior, including crime. Economic inequality entails a comparison of the levels of material wealth between different groups within society. Goodman, in an analysis for the Institute of Fiscal Studies, reported that the level of economic inequality has risen massively in the last 10 years. The combined income of the top 10% of earners was equal to that of the bottom 50% of all earners. It has been suggested by several theorists that there is a relationship between crime and inequality. From an analysis of 16 studies of crime and economic inequality between 1974 and 1985. Box found that 11 showed a positive correlation over dun sa 16 between economic inequality and crime, and he hypothesized that this inequality was responsible for the rise in crime during periods of recession, especially amongst the poorest, the young, women, and ethnic minorities. Ito kasi, yung mga walang pera, yung mga bata, syempre, yung mga babae, usually kasi ang tatrabaho talaga yung lalaki, and ethnic minorities. From an analysis of the situation in the US, Hagan suggested that the increasing inability of the poorest citizens to attain any upward social mobility is likely to lead to increasing competition and violence in the underworld of vice and racketeering. Kaya, etong mga to, yung mga nai-involve doon sa underworld crimes. Ironically, this is liable to give the wealthier more opportunity to exploit the poor, both by legal and illegal means. Horton examined decreases in violent crimes in the U.S. crime and economic data of 77 community areas of Chicago, Illinois. Results show that an increase in concentrated poverty was directly related to violent crime, evidenced by homicide rates. Kasi mataas ang crime rate, specifically yung homicide doon. Concentrated poverty led to violent criminal behavior regardless of racial factors. Kapag sa isang lugar, madami kayo dyan na matatawag na mahirap, mas likely na maging violente ang isang tao. It is concluded that some decrease in violent crime has been the result of endogenous variables, including a booming economy and a decline in the crack cocaine drug wars. However, Chicago has experienced an increase in its homicide rate despite a downward national trend in the US, the result of concentrated poverty. Okay. Another theory is the differential association theory, or the DAT. This was the proponent of this theory is Edward Sutherland. Learning theory would explain criminal behavior in terms of rewards or tinatawag na reinforcements and punishment. Kumbaga, kapag gumagawa ka ng isang bagay, kapag nabibigyan ka ng reward, mas na-encourage kang gawin yon. Parang sa pag-aaral, kapag ikaw ay nag-aaral ng mabuti, nasa top ka, pwede ka magkaroon ng scholarship, di ba? So, kapag may scholarship ka, yun yung reward sa'yo dahil nga nag-aral ka ng mabuti. Kaya, sa mga susunod pa na panahon, pagbubutihin mo pa ulit yung pag-aaral kasi uh, may reward eh. Magkakaroon ka pa rin ng scholarship kapag tuloy-tuloy yun. So, yun. Okay. Such an explanation does not take account of the individual's cognitive reasoning. Schaessler suggests that ineffective parental strategies, or in some individual cases, an inability to acquire conditioned fear responses, may produce inadequately socialized children who then go on to offend. The view that criminal behavior, in common with all other behavior, is learned was most clearly expressed by Sutherland in his theory of differential association, which states that criminal behavior is learned. Hindi na mamana. Yun yung sinasabi sa differential association theory. Learning is through association with other people. Natututo ka base sa kung sino ang mga nakakasalamuha mo. Kung ang nakakasalamuha mo, mga kriminal, matututo kang gumawa ng krimen and eventually magiging kriminal ka rin. Pero kung hindi naman ganun yung mga nakakasama mo, hindi ka magiging kriminal. The main part of the learning takes place within close personal groups. So, hindi naman porket may mga nakakasalamuha ka, lahat na ng katangian nila, matututunan mo din. Ito, ang mga matututunan mo lang ay mula doon sa mga nasa close personal groups mo. The learning includes techniques to carry out certain crimes and also specific attitudes and motives conducive towards committing crimes. Kumbaga, yung mga natututunan mo, hindi lang yung kung ano yung krimen. Natututunan mo kung paano mo magagawa ng tama. Yung mga technique nga, yung sa paggawa ng krimen, matututunan mo rin. Learning experiences, differential associations, will vary in frequency and importance for each individual. So, magkakaiba ng pagkatuto ang bawat tao. The process of learning criminal behavior is no different from the learning of any other behavior. So, kung paano ka natututo ng ibang behavior, ganun din ang paraan ng pagkatuto sa criminal behavior. Sutherland also attempted an analysis of the gender differential in crime, arguing that boys are more likely to become delinquent. Yan, mga lalaki talaga. Become more delinquent than girls because they are less strictly controlled kasi hindi sila nakokontrol. Unlike girls, mas controlled and are taught to be aggressive and active risk seekers, all characteristics likely to bring success in the criminal world, and indeed in the world generally. Ayun, yung mga lalaki talaga, mga delinquent.